All right, what's up guys? I'm John with Dara Holsters. There was a video that was put out a few days ago concerning some issues with some of the larger holsters that are out there, light bearing holsters specifically. So some of your larger injection molded holsters that are designed to fit multiple different lights. And the concern is that the amount of space between the trigger guard and the light allows for either a small woman or a child or someone with very skinny fingers to get inside there and depress the trigger. And this seems to be an issue for, law enforcement officers, things like that. So somebody that's carrying a duty weapon on them that might come into some sort of conflict with an individual where they may have to, defend themselves or keep their firearm away from that person. So we've been aware of that space essentially since the beginning of the company here. So what we do to avoid that issue is full magazine release coverage and very tight tolerances around the light. So now there are some fundamental features that we have to basically abide by in order for you to get these non-negotiable profile, this non-negotiable profile on your holster, so that you can get a good firm grip on it, so that you can access your firearm when you need it. Now, we have about 20,000 7/8 surrounding this light. This light has to pass through this channel. That is not Dara specific. That is all holsters, all light bearing holsters specifically. So that is a non-negotiable feature that absolutely has to be there. So as far as getting around that, we cut our holsters so that there is zero air from this side plane, zero trigger guard exposure, and we come up as high as we possibly can around this magazine release so that it does not conflict with your grip. Okay, so it is very, very difficult with our product to get your finger in here. You have to have very small fingers. We've brought the holsters over to all the women in the shop. We have one with very, very skinny fingers. Now there are some possible features, okay? So our new very tall hood, right? So this was requested very heavily for you guys that want to run those giant tube TVs on top of your guns, okay? We get that. Go ahead, handle your business. But there's got to be some sort of, give and take there, right? So if you want a tall hood that's going to clear your optic, well, what's going to happen is your firearm is going to be allowed to come out of your holster maybe a little bit further with that tall hood, giving you more exposure to your trigger guard, okay? So if you must carry a light and you must carry a giant optic, be aware that if this is lifted up and you're fighting with a child who wants to shoot you in the leg, then that will be a distinct possibility. Again, very small fingers, likelihood of that happening, I don't know, slim to none. Do I think that this is a very serious issue? I don't know. I think it's a possibility that it's an issue. Pretty sure it has happened. So there are cases of it out there. I think you should pay attention as much as you can to what's going on. Try to keep people away from your firearm, obviously. But as far as access to the trigger guard with our product specifically, we do design features around that to avoid that. So the majority of our holsters and our combinations will not allow that unless you get in there with a pick and pull on the trigger. You're not going to have that issue with hammer fired guns. You're not going to have that issue with grip safety guns unless they've, got the grip safety down and, they get in there and pull the trigger. But even still, that hammer is going to fall on top of the hood and you're not going to have that issue. So what you're going to see it on is striker fired firearms, right? Now, there are some striker fired firearms that do not have trigger safeties, right? So it's a little bit more difficult with the trigger safety. You can't get in here and just pull the side of the trigger, okay? You've got to come all the way around, hook your finger around it, and then get that trigger to go off. So different firearms. This one, no trigger guard safety. Is it a possibility? On this specific holster, no, you cannot get your finger in there. This is a TLR7. We checked the 320 with a TLR1, X300, mod light, all of those things. Now this 320 has a very flared trigger guard, which takes up a lot of that space. So I think one of the ones that we saw that was fairly close because of the narrow trigger guard was the Shadow Systems. Had a little bit larger of an opening, especially if you were carrying an aim point acro or something very large, you know, big optic where you needed your extra large hood, and you were able to lift up on that firearm, get your very small finger, again, must be a very small finger. I can't fit any of my fingers inside these holsters. I've tried, cut up my fingers this morning trying to jam these things in there. So you're gonna have a drastic reduction in this potential issue with our product. So you know, we've been getting emails asking about this video and the whole thing. So is it possible with a small enough finger? Sure. It's a light bearing holster. There's always going to be this gap in order to clear the light. It's non-negotiable. It must be there. So, you know, I don't know why this is just popping up. It's been this way since the introduction of lights on handguns. I guess lights on handguns are becoming more popular, even though they should have been for a very long time. So that's the issue that was addressed recently. This is our answer to it. You know, are we changing anything? Are we going to come up with something, you know, that can come up and flap up and cover this trigger guard? No. You know, we don't really think that it's possible. We don't think that it's necessary. We think it probably will cause more problems down the line. So, you know, take it for what you will. Again, don't think it's an incredibly large issue. So with our holsters anyway, I'm sure, you know, some of those larger injection molded products where you can get your finger all the way inside there, yeah, it could pose a problem. You know, the more firearms that your holster is going to allow, different lights, different sizes, you know, whether it has lower cuts and exposed trigger guard from this side plane, you know, you're going to see more of that potential for that problem. So hope this helps. If you guys have any questions, please leave them in the comments. Like, comment, subscribe, give us a shout. Support at daraholsters.com, or give us a call on the shop. We've got a customer service team that's happy to help you out, happy to answer any questions that you have. So appreciate you guys watching. Take it easy.